So we come back from the matches one night. So I forget what it was. Stan Pulaski, myself, Freddie, Buck, in my car. I had a brand new 70 Pontiac Bonneville. I picked it up. I was living in Nashville. I picked it up at the dealer I dealt with in Cincinnati on my way up to Maritimes. So anyway, get in, the parking lot's pretty full. So they say, we'll jump out and go on in, find a place to park. Okay, so clear the back of the lot and I park. And I come on, walk in, go up to the second floor. I open the door and all hell is broke loose in there. Buck's beating the hell out of somebody. Stan Pulaski's headbutting this guy. And as I step in, this guy jumps on my back and starts to fight, right? What the hell is going on here? I mean, the best I can do is jam him back into the wall and cut him loose, right? And I do, and then before I get in too much. I don't know how long this has been going on. I guess since they walked in the door. The guy that owns the bar comes in and grabs the wrestlers. You guys go to the third floor. Everyone, the cops are coming. So we go up to the third floor. And the cops come and clear the place out and everything. So the guy said, you guys can leave now. So we go out, and like I say, my car is at the complete back of the parking lot, which is across the street from the building. So we walk over, and we start to walk to my car. Here comes two cars into the parking lot with local boys with chains and tire irons and all the good stuff, right? And so we start backing up to my car. And honestly, I'm thinking my car is going to be a mess for this. I mean, there was no way we could take them on, but there's no way you're going to, two carloads of guys with, like I say, tire irons and God knows what else, chains and so forth. So we're backing up. Buck is screaming at these guys, you mother. I said, Buck, shut up for Christ's sake. So I don't know, we're maybe 20 feet or so from my car. And I said, okay, guys, when we get a little closer, I'm going to brake, run, and unlock the doors. Either have your ass in there or be left at the gate, boys. And before I could, cops pull into the parking lot. Saved by the bell, brother. Saved by the bell. So they run the locals off, and they say, you guys better head on, back to your side of town. Yeah, I agree. We get in the car, start down the road. About 4 or 5 blocks from the building, Buck said, pull over, pull over. What's going on? Go back. I said, go back for what? We didn't get any beer. I said, Buck, I said, if you want beer, you'll walk back, right? I'm going home while I'm still in one piece, right? So, yeah, the fans up there, man, they were crazy. I mean,
they were into it big time.
Yes. But then he's, and of course, then when he switched me babyface, that's the first place I ever did television as a commentator too, was for Rudy on the Halifax TV.
Wow. Excitement. All kinds of excitement. Okay, let's go back through. We're going to go with the, we went to the Southern Junior NWA Southeastern Tag Team Champion with Nelson Royal, 74-75. Who was that with?
Here, Knoxville.
Was here, Knoxville?
With Ron Fuller. Well, Nelson and I, Ron and I, had been friends in Florida, Tampa. And so he called me when he told me about the territory. He said, I want you to come in and build me a television show. He said, because I don't know anything about TV. Now, he won't tell you that now, though. He'll tell you his television show.
Yes.
But anyway, so Nelson and I helped. I mean, he booked his, but we helped with that and everything, right? Here's the crazy thing. From 1977, November of 74, I'm sorry, to November of 77, I had an apartment in Charlotte. I worked there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Or I say there, or wherever they wanted me to be. Got on a plane Friday, flew in here. Ron would pick me up. We'd have lunch, go to his house, book TV. worked Knoxville Friday night, TV Saturday morning, and then wherever Saturday night, put me back on the plane Sunday. We'd do it all over again. And I did that from 74 to 77.
Wow.
I passed myself in the air. Hey, there I go. Here I am. So I was doing a TV show in both territories. Wrestling. Well, I was wrestling over there some too, you know. But yeah, Nelson and I had a hell of a feud here with Dutch Mantell and John Foley. No relation to Mick, but the old English shooter.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But yeah, this turned this into an amazing territory. First TV I did. You know, I'd been on Kazana's TV, obviously, right?
Right.
But I didn't pay attention. I didn't have formatted or anything, right? Just sit down, do an interview, and go on. So Ron picks me up that first Friday that flew in. So he got back to his house. I said, okay, let's go to work on the TV. Okay, I said, where's your formats? We don't have any formats. I said, what do you mean you don't have any formats? They don't. Kazana had never used formats. You talk about free fall.
That's the whole thing.
Let's change this. Let's do. So I said, okay, then give me a ruler, some stationery, and a damn pen. Right. So the one you held up to me the last time we were here, I made that format. Right. We went out and found Kinko's or something and got a bunch printed off. So we fill it out. Walk in at channel 26 up on the hill the next morning, and I go to the director, here's your format. Format? What are you talking about? Format. They thought we were crazy, right? Jew and Don. I said, we're going to start using formats now, as of today. So that's and Nelson, man, what a ring general. That son of a gun could make anything work right. I mean, he was just beautiful to work. I had worked babyface matches against him in the Carolinas several times. Loved it. And then to have him as a partner, you run on automatic pilot and just listen to what he's saying, and you're there.
Yeah, he was. When I did the few times I had to engage with him, he took his business very seriously.
Yes, sir.
There was no nonsense. You did it as you were told, or there would be consequences. That's the way.
I remember one time this happened. He tagged me in. We were working with Dutch and John Foley, and I was Dutch, and I hooked up with Dutch, and I guess I started another direction or something, right, or doing something a little different than Nelson had done. And we were switching quick on this particular section of the match. So I tagged Nelson back in, and Dutch said, well, Nelson, I'm running this fucking match. That was all he needed to say, right? You got my vote. So we had John did good business here, but it was it was, throw it against the wall and see if it sticks.
If it works. Yeah, that's the way they are.
And Ron wanted to bring wrestling back here, and we had Hodge and Dale Lewis and John Foley, we sold wrestling here.
Sure. Well, and I think that Lee Fields always said, when you stop drawing, go back to wrestling, and you'll see it come back up. He used the same.
Can you call AEW and WWE and tell them that?
And they'll say Lee who? I mean,
or they'll say wrestling. What's that?
What is that? Right. I mean, when all you're wanting to do is go AEW because you're trying to hide the fact that you're a wrestling Joe. I mean, we're initials now. We're not. There's no wrestling to it. There's no name to it. I don't get it. Let's see. So we got the NWA USA US Tag Team Champions Roger Kirby. What was that at?
That was in Louisiana. That was Frank and Jack had the NWA US, or that version of the US tag team.
Yes, there were several tag teams. There were several US tag team champions. I think there were several North American and several world tag team champions, which you were one of them with. NWA World Tag Team Champions with Dennis Hall. And tell me where that was at. Chattanooga.
Yeah. I'll tell you a crazy story about Louisiana and Baton Rouge. We're working this feud with the Daltons. And so the belts, they've got the belts at this time. We're in Baton Rouge. The belts are on the line. And we're going through 60 minutes, right? We're going to split falls and go through. And Lee had told, I guess the timekeeper was smart, which normally they're probably not. So I guess Lee had said, you find a good spot where it's hot. If you cut a minute or two off, it won't make a big difference, right? So anyway, we're going. We got four-way blood. Kirby and I got blood. The Daltons got blood. And at this point, we're probably 3 minutes from actually hitting 60. And we're making a big comeback. He decides this is a spot where we hit the bell. Which would have been all right, but there were a bunch of the fans keeping time as well. So we almost had a damn riot. And it wasn't to get Jack and Frank, it was to get to the timekeeper, right? They're figuring there's fans out there holding up watches and hey, cut time off it. I mean, we had a hell of a problem, right? So the next week we come back, 90-minute time limit and 2 timekeepers.
That's great.
And don't cut the time, right?
That's right. People don't be watching for that.
Yes. Well, that's how they took wrestling serious then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So there was his credentials. So he headlined it. So those who say, "Less who?" Now you know. It is funny to me that some people do not find value into people who come before of how promotions were done. When I was growing up, we knew about the Infernos and because of Dad's program collection, and we knew about them, and we would have loved to have seen those videos. We would have loved to have seen footage, which I don't think there's very much of that footage left. But we would have loved to see it even when we were 12 years old, because back then I watched every moment of wrestling I could get my hands on. It didn't make any difference where it was at, where it was in. If I had seen it over again, that's fine. I'd watch it all over again. So we're coming down. I think we're coming to the point where you're beginning to transition. But before we do that, I want to hit on the highlights. When you think about your in-ring career, what would be your proudest moment for your in-ring career?
I think the way we drew right here in Knoxville, right? Whitey and I here. I think the storylines I'd say storylines for younger people now. If I say angle, I feel I have to explain what an angle is.
Yes.
But I think the Charlotte run with JC and those guys, there were other heel teams, but working the 6-mans and stuff there. But I've always taken pride in my work. And if I screw something up, Rodney, nobody gets madder at me than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
you're your roughest critic, sure.
Yes. And you know what? Everybody should be. You should be honest with yourself. If you're going to be good in this business, you have to be honest with yourself,
With the biggest house you had been on, would it be one for Charlotte?
I think. Well, actually, the record house in Greensboro, I wrestled Gene Anderson on that house. So that was probably the biggest house I was on.
Wow. And anything, as far as your career go, if you could have done anything any different, what would that be, you think?
I would have probably traveled more. When I say traveled more, I had an opportunity to go to Australia, and I didn't.
Oh, man.
Had a chance to go to Japan. Well, the Japan thing, when I first started the business, there's only one promotion over there, Ricky Dozan, and that was it, right? And so New Japan was just getting started in 66, 67, and Matsuda and Duke Kiyomuka were involved out of the Tampa office. So Kirby Hall and I were scheduled to go for their promotion to Japan. And something happened and they canceled that particular tour for whatever reason. I still don't know to this day. But I was ready to go then. And then the next 2 times that I had an offer, I was involved in good money-making angles in the country here. And I'm thinking, I don't want to take it. I mean, I knew what I was going to make over there, obviously, because you get your guarantee. But I don't want to blow this either, right? And I can't tell a promoter in the middle of the angle, can you put that on hold and I'll be back in 5 weeks or 4
and
weeks.
you're right about that, because you'll get the reputation of walking out just as soon as they get you over.
Sure.
And you're exactly right about that.
Yeah. So that was, I would have liked to have made that run and the Australia thing, but Terry Garvin offered to help me get into England back in the early 60s. But back then, if you weren't a subject of the Queen, you were only allowed to have, like, I think it was 40 matches in the country, right? So what they wanted you to do was come in like in late November, work through December, stay on that continent, and like go to Germany or someplace, right? Come back after the first of the year and do 40 more. I had a family over here. I wasn't looking to spend, 3 months, traveling around Europe just so I could get that trip. So I didn't do it. So, but this is, the 4th of July will be my 61st anniversary.
Wow.
And I couldn't have possibly even known that.
That's the Queen. She's calling you. She said you can come on back.
Yeah. The Queen.
The Queen's calling. She heard what you said. So now we're coming to the portion of of your career where things are beginning to transition. And so now you had done commentary, you said, in Canada, and now you're beginning to transition into commentary. So talk about how that comes about.
Okay, well, I came back to this. Well, Rudy wanted me to come back up there for the next second season, but he wanted me in the office, and he was going to have me do the programs because I had done those. I started doing some of that stuff in Charlotte a little bit. He knew that, and then. He didn't want me to wrestle, but I'd only been in the ring 10 years at that point, right? I figure I got a few more bumps left.
Sure.
So I wanted to wrestle. It wasn't I was against that. I just wanted to wrestle. So I came back to the States and came into Nashville for a short run. Then I went to Tampa, and because Leo was booking down there at the time. But anyway, that's where Ron Fuller and I first met in 71. So Louis Gillette came to me after I'd been down there a couple and said, Charlotte is looking for a number 2 babyface team. And I recommended you and Danny Miller because you're both Ohio boys, right? Okay. Are you interested? I said, sure, because I'd always had, good luck in Charlotte and a good relationship with the Crockett's and Becker. So Danny and I made the move to Charlotte in 71, and we started getting a push. I was in the office one day, and Lord Littlebrook, the midgets were in the territory, and Littlebrook was in there. And so he and I are talking to Mr. Crockett, Jim Sr. And Littlebrook said to Mr. Crockett, why isn't Les on your TV? And Mr. Crockett looked at him and said, well, he is on my TV. No, Mr. Crockett, I don't mean as a wrestler. I mean, as a commentator. And Jim, he said, he did Rudy's TV last season up in the Maritimes and did a heck of a job for him. And Mr. Crockett looked at me and he said, you didn't tell me. I said, you didn't ask. I didn't know that you'd be interested, right? So would you like to do something here? And I said, well, if you want, sure, if you want me to do something. So actually what I first started doing was just basically, like with Bill Ward. Bill was a great guy, but he was a local celebrity on Channel 3 in Charlotte, and you could be in the middle of working a hot angle in that ring, and he's in the middle of telling Miss Fannie Mae happy birthday on her 97th birthday and this and that, right? So my job when I sat in with Bill in Charlotte was to be sure if there was an angle, I was covering the angle and not Miss Hattie Mae's 93rd birthday or something, right? So I mean, I knew what was going on. And so I sat in Raleigh. I sat in High Point TV was there at the time too. And everybody was great except, well, it wasn't that he wasn't friendly, but Charlie Harville in High Point said to me one time after we'd done a show, I don't know if it's the first show I'd done there or not, but he said, Les, I won't wrestle if you promise not to be an announcer. and Charlie was in, and it wasn't, I didn't looking to take anybody as his job, right? Or anybody else's for that matter. But that's the only person that had anything negative to say about it,
So you were sitting in, let me get this right. So you were just sitting in as partners to the established announcers on the shows, right?
Yeah.
So basically you started the 2-person commentary because up to that point was just one.
Yeah.
So you basically pioneered that.
Yeah. Well, because when I started doing the commentary up in the Maritimes, it was just me. And talk about my going in cold, having never hosted a show, right? I didn't know how. I'd heard guys cue in and out. I didn't even know what the hell it meant to say cue out of that segment, right? I never read a format, so it was it was strange at first, but yeah. So anyway, that's all I was doing initially was just sitting in like that, and then I got then it got to be you do this promo. Wow, you did a good So then it kept snowballing, right?
Sure.
And so we did promos on Wednesday in Raleigh, Channel 5 in Raleigh, from noon till 5 or 5:30 that evening, steady, right? I mean,
right.
Guys, they're putting idiot sheets under the camera lens, so I know what town we're talking about and who's in it, right, or where the advanced stickers are supposed to be. I had that damn clock in my head, Rodney. I swear, I've done so many of those. I could tick off the 2:20 without a clock. In fact, I did one time. Somebody had walked by we had the back timer under the camera lens, right, and which set at 2:20 every time we'd start a promo. And somebody had inadvertently pulled the plug as they walked by and kicked the plug out. The damn thing stopped. And nobody knew it. It stopped except me and whoever I was interviewing at the time, right? And I keep going. I couldn't tell him that, but he got my message. And I'm doing the 2:20 in my head, and I cut him off and I cued out. We were on it. I thought, damn. Nobody was more surprised than me. But you do enough of those things, you just kind of get that rhythm, right?
So how did they transition you from, okay, we're going to do something hot here? You have been involved all this other time from going in making a save. How did they work that so you could they can still get what they need and still make you look good, but you're sitting there talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm not sure.
So if they're doing saying they're getting the heat on somebody in the ring, and
right.
Here you have been wrestling all this time, and you don't go out to make a save. You don't want to try to stop it. How did they transition you from, okay, he can't go jump in the ring to make the save?
Well, I don't know that was ever said, except no one expected that, I guess, because you had the coat and tie on, you were an announcer. Now we worked that angle here in Knoxville, right? Mm-hmm. Don Curtis was our de facto commissioner.
Right.
And of course, I was doing the TV, and Nelson and I were feuding with